So we are on page Mem Gimel and exactly 7 lines from the bottom. And this is going through a lot of details which we are just going to go through. This is very profound things, but it's not our issues.
It's not?
Huh?
It's not what?
Not our form, Zohar and references. V'zehu tachi ha'oretz. The Rebbe explains the relationship, the sequence of Yikova Hamayim, the water should gather in one place and they should dry land, and followed by the command. What? Huh? Oh. Here, what's there attached? 7 lines. Can you count? Followed by the command of Tache Ha'oretz, when the earth produce its produce, its vegetation, which has to stand on top of the land. In order to produce this vegetation, it has to be dry land. Bechinas Yichud Zum L'Helet Neshomas. This represents on the essential level, it represents the Inyan from Yichud Zum, of the joining of Zum. And the joining of Zum, L'Helet Neshomas, which gives birth to Neshomas, it gives birth to new entities, but real entities, not just functional entities, but entities that stand on their own. This is what Yichud Zum affects. The Kol Zer Shayach Bebchinas Hayesher Davke Kanal. This is possible.
I thought we were a few lines of
Yeah.
I thought we were a few lines up. I thought we ended it on the word Shabbos in the line that starts over Chayin.
I'd like to go back to who Inyan later is Galus on the Shomas.
I know where you want to go back.
Exactly.
All right. Overruled. So we're starting from the line that begins with Choyin Eloyin. Ad kan l'sheina, quoting from the Zohar. Yeah. I apologize. I was going to kind of cut around the Zohar. What the Zohar says that Shabbos is a time that where there's the joining with Ara Kadisha, with the Holy Land, and then there is the ornamentation of the higher ornaments, the crowns, which brings about B'choyin Eloyin brachas from above. Hainu, which actually refers to the leaders on Shomes, that the leaders on Shomes, the birth of the Shomes, Ihu b'Shabbos, is on Shabbos. Ukmayma Razal, as the Chazal comment on Posuk, Asher Piya Yitim B'Yitoi. The Posuk says, Asher Piya Yitim B'Yitoi, its fruit he produces in its right time, and the Gemara says, when is the right time? On Shabbos. Behu, and that is, why is Shabbos? The Yoy, the Shar Choser Hapnim, Sapena Kodim, B'Ma Shabbos Hiposeach. This is a pasuk in Tanakh that describes the Beis Hamikdash, and there are all kinds of gateways into the Chotzer, into the courtyard of the Beis Hamikdash, and it says that Shara Chotzer Hapnimis, the gate to the Chotzer Hapnimis, to the inner courtyard. Hapoina Kodim, that gateway that is turned eastward, that comes from the east, that gateway is always closed, except B'Ma Shabbos Shabbos it opens up. V'hu Giloi Bechinas Pnimis HaKeser, and that I said on an essential level, that represents the Gilui, the coming forth, the revelation of Pnimis HaKeser. The Misham hu bechinas Heilod, because from Pnimis HaKeser is the bechina of Heilod, is the aspect of Heilod, of giving birth. Ukmeshin is boy leyil, and as we explained, and this is why the Piri Yitim B'itay, the giving birth of the Neshama is on Shabbos, because that's when there is the inyan of Gili HaKeser, Bechina HaKeser. V'hu Gili Bechinas Pnimis HaKeser. Question is, but V'zehu Tache Ha'oretz, and this is thus the pshat in the posuk. Tache Ha'oretz Bechinas Yichud Zun. How does Tache Ha'oretz? How does the earth produce its produce? Bechinas Yichud Zun, by the effect of Yichud Zun. And I'll discuss it a little bit. I decided that I'm going to discuss it. Lehelid Neshamis, to give birth to Neshamis. The call Zeh Shayach. This is Shayach. This is only possible with Bechinas HaYesher Dafka, in the Yesher aspect only, because then there is this effect of Yichud Zun. As we said before, that the whole principle of Zivugim does not apply in Yigul. As I said, I decided I'm going to discuss a little bit the whole principle of Zivugim and why Zivugim has that power to give birth, and in Igulim there isn't that aspect. Since we are talking about two entities on dry land, which means on dry land everything is an entity unto itself. There's a real presence. That's what dry land is. Even after the earth produces its produce, it comes from the earth. Yeah, it comes from the earth, but it becomes an entity unto itself. Has its own name and its own identity. This is what happens in dry land. This is the principle behind that. When there is a joining between two totally independent and separate entities that are not dependent on each other, that are real entities standing on their own feet, so to speak, to effectuate that union, there has to be an oyevatzkop, a recognition of something infinitely superior to both of them. But they both recognize this superior quality, the superior element, not quality, the superior truth. And they're bottled to that superior reality, and this is where the joining comes in. And through that superior reality, it flows through into their zibuk, into their joining. And this is why it creates a new entity. As we said, that Heilode is Bekoyach HaKeser, Davke. I was trying to explain to some people a principle that we discuss. We're not used to thinking along these lines, and that's why it's so difficult to reorient ourselves. But sometimes we have an illustration that is so obvious or so simple that even coming from a totally different background, one can recognize it. And this is what we said lately a few times, that if we project and we focus in on the difference between standing outside and looking into the room. And I said, even if the room is totally visible, There are no obstructions. Glass walls, not glass windows, glass walls. You see everything in it. So you see every detail. But you see every detail. Every detail that you see is another discovery. It's another entity. Then you step inside the room. As soon as you step inside the room, then you are viewing everything from a completely different viewpoint. Then there is no discovery anymore, because you're in it. You already have everything. The only thing I think there would be is that you are identifying that which you already have.
Even if it's the first time you go in.
Even if it's the first time, you identify because you're in there. You already sense the reality. Now you're identifying everything that is there. Not that you are discovering, you're gaining a new thing. Now here is the key. I think that we all can sense this principle. To elaborate on this principle, what's behind it? Like we said yesterday, when you enter into a home, it is not the walls and the tables and the chairs that you are entering to. It is the host. It is what makes the home. What is the spirit in the home? What's the domain in this? What is this home about? Not at all the presence of the home. What is this? What is the initiator? What is this about? You entered your friend's home. It's your friend who is present in every corner, not the furniture. And when you begin to identify the furniture, you're not identifying new entity. And then, oh, this is his table, this is his chair, this is his coffee, this is his. Everything identified in relation to him. Because that's what it really is. It represents him. And his presence is there, all-encompassing. It is the reality itself. And this is what brings out all the other details. This is the similar union that we have a dry land. We have all kinds of different entities. And the entities are real entities. But what makes these entities real, it is the fact that this is Hashem's command that they should be. In other words, there's the Hashem's presence behind it that gives them a reality, that gives them a presence. It's not their own, it's not a discovery. It is, I'm identifying what Hashem has created. But I'm not shocked I come there. It's there because Hashem made it. It's not discovery. So whatever I discover, I'm discovering what did the Rebbe should make, and I'm identifying it. This is what effectuates this zivug, this joining. In other words, yes, they're all separate entities, but there is something that enables their joining. That's something that in which they're common. What's the commonality? They're all God's creations. And they're all dedicated and bottled to that and focused on fulfilling their mission that God gave them. Their focus is essentially the same, with their individual natures. Therefore, their joining represents that greater reality. And this is what effectuates the creation.
Sorry, they could join because they recognize the greater reality.
Yeah. Yes. I want to ask you a very simple question. this is, off the wall, but it is very real. It's totally impossible for a human being, to join, to relate to an animal. That reality is totally sickening. Only a sick mind can do that. Even though the Torah says, it's also, because the Torah deals with all kinds of shikasim in the world, all possibilities. But this is a sickening. It's not real. It's not a human being. He lost his human sense. What did he lose? What's the difference? If you look at it from a bodily perspective, what did he lose? Because the focus of the animal, the focus of the human being is totally different. Where do I come from? What do I stand for? What does the animal stand for? Physically, there's no difference. There's a difference, but it's not. That's not the criterion. Criterion is what he stands for. A human being stands for, as we said all the time, he stands for he has a statement from a higher source, from a higher purpose. And this is what enables them to join. When they join on the basis of bodily, they're saying the loss of that spirit, that's totally unnatural. That's inhuman. It's so unnatural that it is not even natural in the animal world. In the animal world, it hardly can happen. Like it says that at the time of the Mabul, there was such perversion, such sickness, that animals interrelated with different species. The spirit of that animal, the spirit of that animal are different, and they can join. Okay, just didn't want to give up. It's an important message. As you know, we have to speak about it in special tznius, but I think I didn't want to bypass it. V'zehu, now we have 7 lines on the bottom. V'zehu tachi ha'oretz b'chinas yichud zun. And this is what tachi ha'oretz represents. The yichud zun lehelid neshamas, to bring forth neshamas, to create neshamas. And that happens because of yichud zun. The calls the shaya b'chinas ha'yeshen dafka canal. This is shaya only yeshen. Because in Yosher there is the identity of Zun, of the Zohar and the Keva, of the different elements. And when two totally separate elements join together, that represents the power of that which encompasses them, that which brought them into being, of their focus, of their definition of their being, a higher source. That's shaykh only in Yosher, and as we explained before, what is it shaykh only b'chinas haYosher? B'chinas haYosher, in Yosher, the principle of Yosher is, as we said, it's a straight line. Straight line means that no matter how far away from the source you are, you still see the very top. That's what you should. Yes, you have all kinds of different levels, but that's not the reality. There's a straight line all the way up. I mentioned it here, I don't remember about conjunction 12 years ago, that in Paris, where's our Parisian? Yes, no, he'll have to wait. In Paris, there's a famous street called Champs-Élysées. The Champs-Élysées is a very, Paris There they pay attention to all kinds of aesthetical things, even though they don't know how to really live. So the Champs-Élysées is a beautiful, beautiful street. And one of the great unique elements of this street, it's a long street going on a straight hill, a straight slant. And on the top of that street is the famous Arc de Triomphe. And you stand at the bottom of the street, could be, I don't know how long, it could be a couple of miles away, I don't know exactly. And you feel like you're ready to touch the Arc de Triomphe because it's so straight, you miss the entire distance. And you're right there all the time. I had that experience. I remember walking out and saying, "Oh, we're there, we're almost there." But you thought we're not almost there.
Yesterday when we had the water flowing versus the stone falling.
Right.
So it seemed like the stone was by Yasha,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed there yesterday that this had to do with independence, that you don't see its source. Mashayin came by the water, this continual, the river is always connected to the source.
I listened to this, and you always, when the water falls, the water doesn't fall. It flows, which means as it goes, it is constantly relating to the contours of the ground upon which it stands. It changes form all the time.
Okay.
Whereas a stone falls, it falls down, but it's made the same stone.
Is the point not the connection with the source? The water.
What?
Is the point here that the water remains connected to its source, or that it's changing?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't remain connected to its source. It represents its source completely, and it encompasses, but it doesn't represent the initial reality of the source. The water does not. The water as it falls doesn't represent the spring where it's coming from.
Okay.
This is the opinion. Yosher is an interesting anomaly. On the one hand, it's a separate thing. On the other hand, it always points to the source. And I have to think it through, but at the moment it seems also correct to say, similarly, the focus of its fall is also different. The water, as it spreads, there is not a single focus where it's going down. Whereas a stone has a very single focus, the center of gravity, so to speak. This is where it's falling to. This center of gravity is connected to the top of where it's coming from. A big day, okay. A big day, Shiyah Bechinas HaYosher, in order that there should be facilitated this Bechina of Yosher. How can it be Yosher? The Alakus is everywhere. Who are the day had Tzimtzum Davka? This can only be to the Tzimtzum, where you will have to retract the infinite light, and when you find the Alkein Kodem Lozeh Maimer Yikova HaMaim, this is what preceded to that was the Maimer, the statement, the command, Yikova HaMaim, let the waters gather in. V'zehu v'yomer Elokim, and thus this is this command. Vayomer Elokim, Elokim said, Yikova HaMaim, let the waters gather. Shezehu Yin HaTzimtzum Deinisoy Boru, which is in fact representative of the Tzimtzum of Ein Sof. B'gidei sheYisro hayabosho, in order that the yabosha should become obvious, should surface, which is his galus bechinas haYosher, which is the surfacing of this bechina of Yosher. Shezeh tachlis hakavona, which is in fact the ultimate kavona, intent of the entire Gilu, entire creation. Li is bazeh bechinas hamshochas o atzmos. Why? Why is this tachlis hakavona? Because therein there is this element hamshochas o atzmos. When the waters gather and all the oil in surface is retracted, what remains? The reality of the earth. That cannot be contracted, that cannot be retracted. The abosha, the dry land. On the one hand, this dry land, what is it? A rock, there's nothing to it. In this dry land is infinite resource. Representative of Atzmos. We're very past time. Let's see if we can. V'gam yikovu. I'll see if there's nothing taking me that I have to elaborate. We'll just go through it. V'gam yikovu hu meloshin kavin. Also, the term yikovu, the word yikovu has the inner sound and expression of meloshin kavin. Kavin means lines. As in Zohar explains, the Hayin of Bechinas HaYosher, this Kavin is the inner of Yosher, Shuhu Bechinas Kavin. Yosher is Bechinas Kavin, has the element of Kavin, of lines, rather than one encompassing reality. And this which afterwards it says, Tache Haaretz. And that is, as we said before, is correlated. Two statements, two commands are correlated to one another. The kashen is gala b'chinas haYosher, because when the b'china of Yosher is surfaced, os tache haaretz, then the earth first begins to produce its produce. Shehu inyan leidas anshomes, which is the principle leidas anshomes. Okay, this is it. Have a great day.
Yutes Kislev, Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to the meeting at Paltiel's house. If anyone wants to chip in for the food, chip in, give me some money.